What we have here today is the GX 300 series LandCruiser. Now this is the lowest spec in the 300 series range, and to be honest, that kind of excites me because for four-wheel drivers, there's a lot of benefits. We're talking vinyl floor, steel wheels, and it's got the highest payload out of any 300 series, so you can carry a little bit more gear. It's also the cheapest vehicle in the range. In saying that, it's not a cheap vehicle. This is going to set you back around $90,000 before on-road costs. But what we want to know today is, can you live with it? From the initial drive so far, I can say it would be rude to call this a POV pack or an entry-level model. The architecture is very similar inside to the higher specs, but you're going to save a bit of money. The next step up is going to cost you an extra $10,000. Now that buys a lot of accessories and a lot of diesel. Now bear with me here, and this might sound a little bit weird, but imagine if this 300 series GX was an egg or a bowl of rice. You know, on its own, it's nothing that special, it's a bit plain. But you add a little bit of, tomatoes, some bacon, some cheese, you've now got an omelette, you've now got a really nice meal. Do you kind of get where I'm going here? You can take this basic package with the GX, and again, it's not as basic as you might think, and spend that extra money, that 10 grand or so, on a bull bar, a winch, some tyres, some suspension, and build a vehicle that's going to be perfect for your needs. The question though, is it too basic to live with day to day? Let's go and find out. Okay, dirt road driving in the GX 300 series, and I have to say, super impressed. The ride quality, even just on basic coil springs, is sensational. The vehicle just feels so planted, like it's a really wet, muddy day today. It's really quite awful. We're really struggling to get through this chute, but we're professionals, so we will get through this chute. But just wrapped with the way this thing performs. Because if you looked at, say, the GX Evolved in the 200 series, that did feel like a mine spec car. And this certainly isn't premium or luxurious, and I'd go so far as to say for a $90,000 vehicle, it's almost a bit of a letdown because that is very expensive. You would expect a premium product for that money. But I love this car. I really want one. It's perfect for me. I don't have kids, I don't need the 7 seats. I love the vinyl flooring. It's all quite basic and simple, but in a really nice way. If you did go to the next step up in the 300 series range, you get MTS or multi-terrain select, which gives you heaps more options. But as we know, Toyota's traction control is fantastic. And the money you saved by not going to that next level, you can put into front and rear diff locks and just have a weapon. Have a GR Sport killer that weighed a heck of a lot less. The center instruments are very basic, but they do take a little while to get used to because they are quite close together. Now this infotainment unit, again, it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic. Whoa! And you are the luckiest kangaroo in the world. Well, we know the ABS works because I just nearly took out a kangaroo, a little Joey, but somehow just managed to get out of that one. Whew, gets the heart rate pumping. The ABS calibration, fantastic. It doesn't sort of jitter and carry on, it does what it needs to do and the vehicle stops. It's a heavy vehicle, so that's impressive. Even though I must say, the brakes for me do feel a little bit on the doughy side, but that is a personal preference. So in terms of luxuries, you don't get too many. So the design is very similar all the way through the 300 series range. Now this center cubby, why it's really deep, super deep. You can basically get a wine bottle in there, and it opens both sides, which is really, really cool. But where it is let down, and this is the whole sort of my rhyme and reason to this vehicle, the tires, garbage. And some good rubber would make this vehicle absolutely take to the next level. Something that's worth noting on this GX model is it comes with a raised air intake, and I'm going to refuse to call it a snorkel because it's not. So we've had a lot of rain today, and we popped the airbox to have a look just to see what the design's like, and the air filter was really wet. Like, not just a little bit wet, it was really wet, so something's wrong there. Now while we're investigating that, we actually sort of took the airbox to pieces a little bit, and it is 100% not sealed. Not even close to being sealed. So there's two pieces, a male and a female piece. There's some foam over the top of the male piece that slots in. I could fit my finger in there. So it makes all sorts of cool noises when you're driving down the road and load it up. You get all that lovely fun noise, which we love, or I love anyway because I'm young at heart. Not sealed, so I don't know, either strip it down and get some silicone on there and slazz it up and hope for the best, or pay a trip to your local four-wheel drive shop and get a proper snorkel on there. There's also steel wheels on the GX, which, since the recent Defender came out, everyone loves steel wheels again. And they're a really good wheel too. You can actually see there's a small recess for the Schrader valve. So it actually protects it. It sits inside, there's a nice groove so you can inflate the tyre, but it's going to protect it off-road, which is clever. Let's talk about the big thing with the 300 series, and it's obviously the motor. Now, I know a lot of people are upset that the V8's gone, but look, let's just deal with it. At the end of the day, this is the motor that we get, and it's a good performer. The issue I have personally with this motor is it's so complicated. You know, you pop that engine cover off, and it's just hoses and pipes. It would be an absolute nightmare to work on. It's just overcomplicated. Especially now we know it's got a water-to-air intercooler system, so there's a separate reservoir for coolant to keep that cool, so there's another thing to go wrong, another failure point. The intercoolers are mounted at the front next to the bumpers, so again, front-mount intercooler is not a problem in a four-wheel drive. And the other thing, we had a good poke around before, and we'd love to show you that, but it's pouring down with rain. The alternator sits really low on the driver's side. When is Toyota going to get that right? I had a 95 LN106 Hilux, and I would kill alternators in that thing every couple of months because it was so low. The 200 series, known for killing alternators. It could be a better sealed design, but it does sit really low, and it just boggles my mind. Why? Why? I'm not going to go into the hot V design and the twin turbos, all that sort of stuff. We've covered that before. Editor Matt's done a wonderful walk around and review of the GR Sport. Definitely go and check that out on our socials and on our YouTube. And look, we're back on the road now. Watch this. So we're just cruising. Dump. This thing boogies. This thing absolutely moves. Don't be scared that it's a V6, not a V8. Yes, look, we're all red-blooded Australians and we want more cylinders and we love our V8s. I do too. But this motor performs absolutely flawlessly so far. One thing that I've particularly enjoyed, and this is something that anyone that jumps into a lot of different cars will know, everything is laid out so well. It's a traditional layout, but with modern touches too, like this center display, it feels very modern to me. I'm struggling to see why this is the base model, because it's not that bad at all. It got me thinking of a little hypothetical though. So if you were looking at getting, say, a 76 series Land Cruiser, you're looking at upwards of $70,000. This GX 300, it's $89,990, you know, $90,000. I think that this makes more sense than a 76 series Land Cruiser. I reckon capability-wise, apart from ground clearance, the 76 will probably have it, except for those leaf spring hangers. They're both very capable vehicles. But you've got an automatic transmission. To put an auto in a 76 series, you're looking at 20, 30 grand. It's got coils on the rear. Let's put coils in the rear of a 76, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 if you want to do the track width correction, I'm not sure. Once you add all that stuff up, you're way better off buying this base model 300 series Land Cruiser. It's more comfortable, you've got more power, you know, disc brakes front and rear, coils all around. You don't have a silly rear track width problem like the 76 has, and you've got this wonderful auto gearbox. You know, if you're looking for a new model Land Cruiser, definitely take the GX for a run. So what are we going to say in summary? It's a touring four-wheel drive, it handles the dirt absolutely flawlessly, rides well, steers well, brakes pretty well. Don't be worried about that engine unless you have to work on it, because it is going to be a complicated, messy engine until we all catch up, get up to speed with the technology and understand how it works and how to work on it. In terms of a tourer, look, I'm not uncomfortable at all. That was my worry, that getting a pod pack base model, you're going to sacrifice everything. They mightn't want you to buy it because you spend a bit more money going up in your grade. Don't be afraid to have a look at the GX, because I think it could be a really good thing for Australian tourists. In terms of some negatives, it just happened to me then. If you get a little bit too close to the centre, to the lines on the road, it tends to brake and steer at the same time, and look, that's just a bit jarring, it's a bit weird. It's not overly intrusive, which is good, unlike say the D-Max and MUX, which is just beeping at you non-stop, drives you bloody mad. This isn't too crazy, but if you go over the lines a bit, I'll do that now. See what I mean? She beeps at you, the steering wants to move you back, and it brakes, which is, you know, all part of the modern safety suites we get in vehicles. Now, another negative I found, headlights. Not super impressed. I actually had to get out of the car to check to see if the headlights are on. Not impressed with the headlights at all. Another negative is just purely getting your hands on one of these. They're going to be super, super popular, and the dealers just can't seem to keep up with demand. But at this stage, availability is going to be an issue. So if you've got your heart set on a 300 series Land Cruiser, get your order in early and be patient. It is what it is. I think it's worth the wait. Personally, if I had $90,000 burning a hole in my pocket, I'd be picking one of these things up tomorrow. We already found ourselves some sloppy mud, some ruts, and some good fun. I'm going to put it into low range. That, super quick, awesome, great to see. Locking the center diff lock. Again, super quick, love it. Love it when a four-wheel drive system just works. Let's go and have some fun. Super sloppy, we're just gonna let the car do the work for us. Oh. I think we're stuck. Well, I ran out of talent there, so time to get the max tracks out. That's not the car's fault, it's just so soft. So we did get stuck there. That's not the 300 series fault, this is just so sloppy. Put 2 max tracks on the back wheel, we got out no problems. This is probably where diff locks would come in handy. This is where a GR Sport would probably be a winner, but hey, we're still having a good time and this thing's still super capable. Alrighty, up to the big hole here. So we're gonna have to give it a little bit of momentum. As they say, as slow as possible, as fast as necessary. Let's have some fun. This is a really capable car. It's a bit wide, I must say, it's a bit wide on the tracks. But once you get past that, you can do anything. Now I do notice the control arms sit quite low. So, hands down, taller tyres absolutely would transform the way this thing handles a rougher off-road. Alright, we're dropping down in this valley here, and I think it's a good time just to play around with both low range and hill descent control, things like that, to see what's what. Look at that, snail's pace. Absolute snail's pace. So far so good though. Traction control is definitely working. Suspension's nice and supple, it definitely feels progressive, which I love, because it feels nice and firm on road. You get off road and it just eats up the bumps. Alright, I'm going up. Look, just having that power on tap, so handy. This thing's just a tractor, but it's like a Ferrari tractor. It's got heaps of power all the way through the rev range, especially down low and in that mid-range. Well, it's been a great day driving the 300 series GX. It's been a real eye-opener too, because as mentioned at the start, this is the base model, the POV pack as you'd call it, but it's not basic. It's not that simple. Sure, you miss out on some niceties like leather trim and a padded center console. You also miss out on the MTS, the multi-terrain select mode, but it's still got a very capable traction control system. And the money you save by buying this model will go a hell of a long way to getting you around this country in diesel or with aftermarket accessories. I'll go so far as to say this isn't a simple vehicle, this is a perfect touring vehicle for Australian four-wheel drivers. You've got wiped down vinyl flooring, you've got a higher payload capacity because there's less weight in this, so if you don't need 7 seats and you want something that you can build up into your own dream four-wheel drive, check out the GX, you'll save a little bit of money in the process. So that's my take on the 300 series GX. I personally would happily own this vehicle and would love to travel the country in it. But what do you think? Is this too simple for you? If you didn't need a 7-seater, would you be happy with the GX? Would you think it's worth spending a bit more money and stepping up into the next variant? Please let us know in the comments below, and thanks again for watching.